Ladies and gentlemen, give it up for David, aka Preacher Man, here on Frazierchronicles podcast.
What is up, everybody? What is going on? It is time for another podcast. And before we get started, I want to thank our sponsors of decalworld.com. Make sure that you shop with them for your holiday gifts as they sell sports merchandise, sports cups, sports, everything sports. So just make sure you shop with decalworlds.com. Again, that is decalworlds.com. As usual, before I get started with today's episode, I want to thank all of our listeners all across America, all across the United States, and all across our international bodies of water. As we proceed to our episode for today, I hope that you got out there and voted, and I hope that whomever you voted for is the right candidate and that they meet your expectations. As we know, with voting, sometimes individuals do not meet our expectations, even though they said they were going to do this and do that. I hope that everyone was able to get out to the polls and vote, and that your vote counted, okay? And with that being said, I want to move into today's topic, which is on the topic of predatory lenders. So we all have them. We all been around them. We all dealt with them in some way, form, or fashion. The reason I say that is because you might have a house that you currently own, okay? Or you have a car that you currently own. Or maybe you're making payments on that car. Or maybe you're making payments on that house. But again, the lenders at times can be predatory. Now, getting off to this sweet topic that I believe many of you are ready for, and your ears have perked up, and you have turned your attention directly to the podcast. You've turned off the side music. You turned off your stove. You're actually probably in your car, and you just pulled into the parking lot, and you're like, hey, I'm not going to turn off this podcast because I want to hear about this predatory lender and how they are, okay? As we know, many millions of Americans are desperate to pay bills, but they become targets of the predatory lenders. Give you an example. There's a young fella who owns a Crown Vic. It used to be a police car, and at the time he was able to afford it. Like many of you, when you go into the lender's office, you're able to afford what it is you're trying to get because your income is right, your finances are in order, you thought about what you're going to buy and how you're going to buy it, and here you are at the table ready to seal the deal with the bank. Now, as we all know, we never know what 10 years, 15 years, 20 years, 30 years is going to look like from now. No one knows. And I know we all have the intentions that we're going to have our finances in order. Whatever we're signing our name on the dotted line for will be paid off. Or we will be close to paying it off. Maybe we'll pick up another job. Maybe we'll apply for another job that's going to pay us more money. But we all have these bright ideas. And again, there's nothing wrong with having bright ideas. Where the problem lies is when we lose that income or when we get behind on our payments. So as I was said earlier, I was saying that it was a guy who had a Crown Vic type car, used to be a police car, and this gentleman had got behind on his car. got behind about $3,000-$4,000 behind. As we know, people are going to make quick choices in unprecedented situations. So this individual decides he doesn't want the repo to get the vehicle, so he runs out there and he's trying to find a refinance company. He finds one, but the kicker is this. It lowered his payment down by $10, and he added about 18,000, or I say 1,800 to be nice, in interest because he wanted to make sure he didn't lose out on this vehicle. And as lenders know that you're in a desperate situation because of time crunch, okay? Because time crunch, what that means is that your time is limited on you making a key decision. So what they do is they start coming up with ways to make the interest very high, and they put the dollar amount in front of you that says, hey, we're going to deduct $5 off. We're going to save you $5 on your payment, okay? So if your payment is $505 and they take $5 off, you're at a flat number of $500. To you, that is amazing, that is saving, that is promising, but there is a catch. The catch is for you to pay back more money in interest. More money in interest alone. That is a big deal. Because if your car or your home is worth a certain amount, and I would just use, let's say you're in a car. Your car is $30,000. That's how much you owe. That's how much you have left. Well, you refinanced it because of your getting behind, because of your circumstance or your situation. Now, this company that is willing to refinance says, we have a person with a desperate situation, in a bad situation, and we are now going to capitalize off of this person, which says, hey, they're panicking. We could turn panic into a profit. They have the 2 P's, ladies and gentlemen. Panic into profit. And you have to be careful of lenders who are utilizing the 2 P's, panic into profit. So this young man, he goes out here, he does this, and now he's still in a crunch because, yes, they refinanced it, they made life seem more easier, but he's back in the same boat because he lives on a fixed income. Now, I know to a lot of people, they're like, well, this guy can get up, he can go work, or whatever the case may be. Everybody that's on a fixed income is on fixed incomes for different reasons. Some people are on Social Security due to issues. Some people are on disability to issues. So they're not as willing or allowed in certain situations to go and get a job. As we might think, you should get up, get a job, because we're thinking, get your circumstances better. But maybe you're in this situation. Maybe you're in a situation, you're listening, you're saying, hey, that's me. I'm that guy, I'm that woman who's been taken for a loop. I have been basically in a situation that requires me to make a crunch time decision. And my recommendation is this. If something is that bad, is a burden to you, get rid of the burden. And I know you're saying, oh, if I lose a car, how do I go back and get another one? If I lose my house, where do I sleep? If I lose my family, what happens next? What I want to tell you is what happens next is this thing called life. Life happens. Life situations happen. When we don't acknowledge that life situations happen and created us to bounce back, then that is when self-destruction takes place. So it's a thing called life, and you must be willing to understand life happens, and you have to make a decision that's better for you financially. If I know that this car is going to help me, but I know that I'm on Social Security or any disability, then I know maybe I need to find a different vehicle. And I know many people are not trying to take the risk of, I lose this, I give it back, go find something else. What did they say is cheaper to keep her in a way? So what a lot of people are doing is they're modifying their lives. They're trying to pick up the pieces in a world that's forever changing. The world is changing drastically. Again, like I said in the beginning, we walk into an office building, maybe to sign the paper to get our new car. We're excited. Yes, I got a new car. Yes. But 5 to 10, 15 to 20 years later, we could be financially incapable of paying for that vehicle. We also see the housing market, where predatory lenders are again turning a panic into a profit. It is crazy. It is ridiculous. It is inhumane to put people or to take people's situation and to put them in the worst situation than they already are in. And I myself think that folks who do these things, they are some of the most hateful people. They have no remorse for society. They might and must have never been through anything. Now, I understand if people are out here trying to take advantage of you, then they need to be dealt with. Those are the ones who need to be dealt with. If a person is saying, hey, I'm just flat out not paying my bills, flat out not doing this thing that is called growing up, being an adult, paying my bills on time because I have the money, so I decide I don't want to. Okay? That's what we don't want. We don't want you to be taken advantage of, okay? We don't want you sitting at home saying, I don't have to pay these people. Even though I got the money, I don't want to pay. There are people really out here who need the help. They're really hurting. And when people don't pay their bills on a purpose basis, they hurt others that really need the help. The next thing is and I want to move into the Military Lending Act, okay? There is a lending act for military members, okay? And basically, it's just some things where it says there are caps put in place where you can't go above a certain interest rate on military individuals. There is also a lending act which pushes interest rates down for military members. Okay, so maybe military members, maybe you're a military member and you're listening to this, you don't know which way to go. Talk to your company about the Military Lending Act. I would also recommend that you go and just look it up, research it, and find out, okay, how can I go in here and talk to these creditors? What banks don't want, and I'm going to be honest with you, banks do not want back that house, that car. They don't want none of that stuff. They want the cash. What keeps banks going is being able to utilize their cash assets and being able to let borrowers hold on to that cash, which they can then make money off the cash. That's what banks are in business to do. Banks are not in business, and they have to, due to laws, due to these things that have been written by legislators and big-time leaders throughout our history in the United States, okay, there's a repo. There are repos, there are foreclosures, there are all these things in place. Now, if you know you're about to get behind, and this is just for anybody, if you know this month I'm just going to be behind, something came up, something happened, let these people know. Let your lenders know. Do not run from them. They are the type of people, if you run from them, they don't know your situation. If you run from them, there's no plans in place that they can even offer you. And right now, there are a lot of companies out there or lenders willing to help people with coming up with their payments, help people with overcoming the stress of the world, okay? And when we get back to talking about the predatory lending, there are so many places out here, car title loans, that are just outrageous. There are some credit cards, outrageous, 36%. 20%. Anything above 10% starts to get outrageous. And I think if you are in the business of predatory lending, then the government and the state and your city and your county should intervene on that behalf, because you're taking away so much from an individual that they cannot come out of this. And I believe in my mind, and this is just in my heart and my mind, that when it comes down to a lot of these things, okay, a lot of these things, people are afraid. People get taken advantage of because of fear. If a company sees that you are fearful of losing your car, including your job, your house, or anything that is an asset to you, they will make life hard. I like to give this an example. You know, a lot of people are renting and living in apartment complexes. And again, there's nothing wrong with living in them. But the moment you don't pay, or the moment you're going to be late, you can notify them, and they're still going to start the court proceedings. Yes, that is outrageous. And I get it. I get it that there are people who really do not care. I get it that you have people who do not really want to pay their bills, so they take their money and do what they're going to do. But then you have those who are genuinely in a financial bond. They just lost their job. They just got their hours cut. Or they took a pay cut. The job said, we can no longer pay you this salary. So again, in years, we don't know. We don't know. We don't know what the future holds. All we know is right now. And as things get worse throughout the timeline of an individual's whose life that deals with a predatory lender, it gets worse. And it's a bubble that they can't get out of. It's a bubble that when it does bust, when they're able to get out of it, they're already lost everything that they had, that they tried to hold on to. So what are some solutions to this? Solutions is this. If that car is a vehicle you can't afford, give it back. It's easier said than done. I got that. But you can always save your money and get something else. Yes, it's going to be on your credit report. But for the time being, there's Uber, there's Lyft, there's all these apps that will deliver you, take you places, and deliver to your house. Utilize those things. Maybe you're like, well, I'm not the car guy or the car woman. I'm living in an apartment or a house, and I can't get back. I can't bounce back from this. What do I do? I'm going to tell you what to do. Maybe you let that go and find something else. In life, it's all about limiting your stress. We know that money makes the world go round. We know that you have to have a job. We know that you have to have money to live. We know this. Why keep giving your money away when you're going to lose the car or the home anyway? Because you're afraid. You have to get out of that afraidness. When you're afraid, that's when the sharks come. And if you don't know anything about sharks, I'm here to tell you, this is how sharks get their prey. If a person is in the water and they start splashing, sharks think that that is a hurt animal trying to get out of the water. And what it does is it's like a sonar or a sensor. It tells them it's time to eat, right? And they go and eat. And that's how you are. We're all like the birds flying over the ocean. Everything's going great. Everything's looking great. Nothing is hindering us. Everything is fine. We have no issues. We have no problems. And we don't have to get taken by the predatory lenders. Now, all of a sudden, we're flying low and we cut a wing. Now we're hurt. We're trying to now figure out, how do I survive? See, you're surviving. You're in a survival mode now. You're trying to figure out, how do I survive without going under? And the only way to survive and the only way not to go under is to just let whatever it is go. Start anew. Become refreshed, refined. I told a guy I used to work with some time ago, I said, stress is the number one killer. We're stressing over bills. We're stressing over relationships. We're stressing over a family. We're stressing over if we want to eat. We're stressing over bills. We're stressing over inflation. We're just stressed to the point we're killing ourselves. And we have to understand things happen. Life happens. No one comes into the world with the guarantee of you're never going to get sick, you're never going to lose a job, you're never going to miss a paycheck, you're never going to be on Social Security, you're never going to be on disability, you're never going to get in a car wreck, you'll never be paralyzed. Like, no one is guaranteed none of this in life. And just as things in our life go great, things in our lives can change and go bad. And we just have to step back. Stop being desperate. Stop allowing desperate things to move into our lives and stir up our lives, and we lose everything because we're putting money into a system that's going to fail us anyway. That's all you're doing when you go to predatory lenders. You're taking stress off of you for a moment, but putting on new stress that lasts a lifetime. The goal in life, and everyone talks about the American dream. What is your American dream? I ask that question for you as you're listening to this podcast to ask yourself, what is my American dream? What do I need to be doing now? Where do I see myself at 5 years from now? How much money do I have in the savings? How much money do I have in retirement? There are many questions that you need to ask yourself daily. Ask yourself also, while you're questioning, ask yourself this question. If I was behind on my payment, my car payment, my house payment, my bills, or electric, or any major bills, what would I do? And I want you, as you're listening, to close your eyes and ask yourself, if I did not have money to pay my bills, which is my house, my car, the lights, the water, maybe your gas bill or your heating bill, what would I do? Now, ask yourself, what or why do we take life for granted? Why do we take life for granted? You're probably saying, what does this have to do with that predator lender? Because we don't understand what other people go through until we're in that situation or circumstance. I hope if you're that man in the story that I gave, or if you're the woman in the story that I gave, it's time for you to move forward. Let that thing that's hindering you go. The longer you hold on to it, the longer you're going to be bound by it. The longer you hold on to it, the longer stress is going to kick in. The longer you hold on to it, the more you're going to give more of your time to that issue. More of that time to your job. More of that time away from your family. Family is what matters. A car can be replaced. A home can be replaced. Money can be replaced. But a life cannot. And before I end this great episode, I want to say this. What lender or what predatory lender is holding you back? And if you're not in the situation of being behind on bills, understand any bank that lends you money becomes a predatory lender when you're in a situation or circumstance that they know or feel you can't get out of. I hope that you don't stress. I hope that if you're in these situations, in these trying times, as we know, life can get hard. We know things can happen, sometimes out of our control. losing a job. It happens. It's a part of life. Thinking we can save the world. Sometimes we think we can save ourselves from being in situations that cause us so much harm and sleepless nights and lonely days. We've all been there. I think it's fair to say we've all been there. We've been in a position where cars can be repossessed, homes can be taken from us. We don't know which way to go. We've all been in a position where we couldn't pay a bill. So you're not the only one. But I want and I hope that you would take this opportunity to look in the mirror and say, I will not be defeated. No matter what. No matter the circumstance. So what? A predatory lender took me for a ride and I was desperate and I thought I was making the best decision. So what? I can't pay my bill right now. So what? Life is happening so fast. So what? Understand your life is more precious than a contract. Banks every day are losing money because people have life happening to them. Life happens, ladies and gentlemen. If you don't realize life happens, just wait till life happens to you. Maybe you're working at a lending company that says, we want to rule with that iron fist. Whoever didn't pay us, let's go and take everything they have. Whoever didn't pay us, let's make life hard on them. Let's make it where we turn fear into a profit. Let's make it where we are the ones who make them panic, because we know we can take panic and make money. If you're in that organization, I dare you to ask, what if I'm in this situation? How would I want to be treated? How would I want someone to treat me? Knowing that I'm a payment away from losing it all. Would I want people laughing? Or would I want people supporting me and saying, it's all right. Life happens. It happens to the best of us. But it doesn't kill you. You can move on. Again, ladies and gentlemen, I am David, a.k.a. Preacher Man. I'm praying for you all my listeners, all my fans all around the world. I am desperately praying for you guys because I know how life can be. Life can be so overwhelming. It can be jacked up. It can make us have thoughts that we never thought we'd have. But sometimes we need someone to just tell us things will be all right. Things will work out fine. And I'm here to help you understand life happens. Things will work out fine for you if you just stay in the fight and finish your race. Again, I'm David, a.k.a. Preacher Man. Again, before I leave, thank you, listeners, for it all. Without you, I would not be a podcaster. Without you, I wouldn't have fans. I wouldn't have listeners. And without you, I would not be able to help put you back into the game. So until my next episode, stay away from predatory lenders. And most importantly, take care of yourself. Because like I said earlier, house, cars, and money and everything else can be replaced. But a life cannot. Again, I'm David, aka Preacher Man, and I thank you for taking the time out to listen to a wonderful podcast that can very well change your life.